This is Caitlin Clarkson, and you're listening to Patch Turned Up, coming from the Patch Studio in Spencer, West Virginia. This is episode 11 of the Patch Podcast and show 4 of the Help Desk series. Today's podcast is Help Desk with Joe.
All right, Joe. Help Desk with Joe, show number 4, and we're here to help people, and more specifically, you're here to help people with their technology issues and everything else that happens in the technology world out there on the line. And talk to us a little bit today about what we're going to talk about.
Okay, so today's news stories, we're going to cover Microsoft Election Guard. We're going to discuss YouTube TV, way they're going to change their subscription setup, and Ring two-factor authentication, the Ring Video Doorbells, and that's actually going to shove us into our topic of two-factor authentication. So, whenever you're ready.
Wow. Everything you just said is way above my head. So I'm going to struggle today with what questions to ask you, other than, tell me more about that subject. No,
okay.
I'm joking. So let's start off with the first one. What's the first one you're going to talk about?
Okay, so Microsoft Election Guard. This is a new project that Microsoft actually announced last fall, or actually last July, and then actually are starting to roll it out. And Election Guard is a new type of setup that could possibly change the whole way we do elections.
Okay, so this is about elections.
Yes.
I wasn't sure, and I felt kind of dumb to ask that because I assumed it was, but then I wasn't sure. My first question is going to be, it is about like elections for government officials and so forth.
Right.
How's that impact the average person? Why do they need to know about this?
Okay, so Election Guard, this is a new product from Microsoft. They've actually tested it yesterday in Fulton, Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
And the way this works is it's an open source voting machine software that Microsoft first announced back in May of last year. In the demo, voters make their choices on a touchscreen, very similar to the way we work here with our elections.
Right.
And once they're finished, they actually there's a printer, and it actually prints off 2 copies. You take one copy, double check it, make sure all your selections are correct, and you actually put it in this voting machine.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Then you take the second copy home with you, and then after all the votes are tallied at the end of the night, you can actually go online and check your piece of paper that you took home versus the piece of paper that was submitted to the voting machine, and it's all, anonymous. You don't have this paper that says Dave McCutcheon or anything like that. And it'll be just, unique to you. You can actually double check to 1, that your vote was cast,
yep.
2, that it was actually counted, and 3, make sure all your selections were what you have on your copy.
Nice. So that there's no finagling going on in the whole election process.
Right. And actually, Microsoft is actually going as far as saying, no election software, no matter what company you go with, is flawless.
Right.
That's obvious. And this actually isn't trying to prevent hacking. It's just pretty much making hacking useless because you already have all these fail safes and double checks in place. So it's kind of making hacking useless on these voting machines.
Nice. Okay. And then I assume here locally in Spencer, ours are still the same machines they'll use again this year.
I have not talked to Charlie White yet or not, but I do know we actually work with Catstone Harris.
Right. You guys are involved in that process. That's why I asked. I knew you'd know.
Right. And I spoke with Richard Lockhart, the new owner, last night, very briefly.
Yeah.
And we know that a lot of the counties across the state are going to the newer system that Catstone Harris is working with. And I sent this article to Richard last night to ask for his input, and he said this could be a big game changer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he said if all goes well, it could be a big game changer. And from my standpoint, I kind of joked and said, well, coming from Microsoft, it could go 1 to 2 ways. It could be really great or it could be really bad.
yeah. Depending on how that works out, I agree wholeheartedly.
Right. But Fulton, Wisconsin, actually, yesterday they held some of their primary elections, and they actually used the Microsoft product as part of their elections to actually kind of a beta test to see what issues could be coming up or what did they not expect, because they actually used some testing last year and actually found the biggest issue they found in their initial test was from end users after they cast their ballot, 2 pieces of paper came out with their vote.
Oh, wow.
So, they didn't know, why am I getting 2 sheets of paper? I only voted once. Is this going to count? So that was one of the biggest hurdles they had found initially last year.
Right.
So they're
just
trying
getting the structure set up and people to understand the differences.
Right.
Yeah, because that's when I vote here, I don't walk away with anything. It shows me on the paper and it double checks me on the screen.
Right.
And then that's my double check, and then it submits.
Right.
Which is okay. I don't need to walk away with the paper, but I can see where there's been so much controversy here in the last couple of years that's a big deal.
Right.
Maybe not here, but other places.
Yeah, Florida being the big one.
Florida. I was going to say, the whole Iowa debacle we had last couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah, so good that someone's stepping in to solve some problems.
Right. So, and I'm actually, from my standpoint, and Richard actually said the same thing, that he appreciates that Microsoft's actually coming to the forefront and saying, hey, no software is perfect.
Right.
And because a lot of these software companies, and no matter what software you use, and I'm not talking about elections, I'm just talking about just software in general, a lot of these companies will give you the perception of, oh, this is perfect, it's infallible, you know, it's
ironclad.
Yeah, when in reality,
Yeah.
it's not.
Right. As we know from every software we've ever used.
Right.
If it was perfect, you'd be out of a job, Joe.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds exciting. I'm glad that you're on the forefront of it, because we get that local view ahead of time. You did the same thing with the coronavirus and production and so forth. So this is Joe's prediction for election results going forward? Don't know yet.
You know, well, like I said, from right now, Microsoft's saying it's still in the beta test, but if all goes well, I would like to see it possibly by the 2024 election.
Okay.
Just my personal opinion.
Right.
But we'll have to wait and see.
So this will be a game changer, is what you're saying. And
yes.
So keep an eye out.
Yeah, Richard said from his standpoint, this could be a big game changer.
Topic number 2 for the day.
Okay, topic number 2 is YouTube TV will cancel subscriptions using Apple's in-app payments starting next month.
Okay, I'm pausing here because I don't know what YouTube TV is. I don't use it,
Okay.
and I don't understand how that involves Apple at all. But you know what? I'm sure you'll explain it to me.
Perfect.
That's why you're my go-to guy for anything technology related. Joe will explain it to me,
Okay.
and usually in terms that I can understand, which I really appreciate.
I'm trying to make everything a little easier. So YouTube TV is one of the cord-cutting services. You know, you've heard of Sling and you've heard of Hulu. Well, YouTube TV is YouTube's version of the cord-cutting service.
Wow. Okay.
So the reason they're parting ways with Apple is when you actually sign up for the service, one of your payment methods, you know, you always have, you know, credit card and PayPal. And actually, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, you could actually use it to set up to automatically charge your iTunes account.
Okay.
Well, starting March 13th, YouTube is actually pulling away from that and saying that option is no longer going to be available.
Any idea why?
It comes down to money.
Really?
Because when any developer goes through Apple for payment processing or anything like that, Apple actually, part of the terms of the agreement, does a 7/30 split between the money. So, and after that, the developer that's after the first year. After the first year, it actually bumps up to 85/15.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, they're just going to cut Apple out the knot.
Right.
There's so many ways to pay now that makes sense.
Right. So why take 85 when I can still get 100?
Yeah.
And YouTube TV usually costs around $50, but most subscribers who pay through Apple are actually getting charged more to cover the processing fee.
Oh, wow.
So that's actually going to possibly change, you know, the paying structure on that.
Yeah. So that could be a good deal for the consumer, because it sounds like they're just getting billed for the Apple's portion of it.
Right.
And there's so many ways to pay for stuff now that's hard to justify if you're YouTube.
Right. And apparently YouTube's not afraid of potential issues as far as subscribers go, because they're doubling down on this and saying the 13th, that's it.
Yeah.
They're not, you know, they're notifying their users. They're doing their due justice, but they're not going to try to limp this thing along. You know, if you're a user that you are using Apple Pay or Apple's payments to pay for your subscription, and come March 14th your subscription's due to renew and it doesn't renew, that's on you. So,
that's just good business.
Right.
If they don't need it, they don't need it. Cut it clean and just say, here's the date. That makes it easier for everybody, in my opinion.
Right.
My opinion is just me sitting here in Spencer, West Virginia. I don't use either of them, but
right.
I could see that if PayPal or Amazon or whatever just said, hey, we need to make a change, I would want it to be as of this date. Make it clean, make it clear.
Right, because you know there's still going to be some people, well, I prefer it this way.
Tough luck.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can figure out how to do that, and you're subscribing to YouTube TV, you can figure out another way to pay.
Right.
All right. Well, good. Is YouTube TV pretty popular? Like, does it compete with Hulu and so forth?
Yeah, they all pretty much across the board are pretty comparable, and that's actually, we'll do another episode on cutting the cord and all the options, because honestly, the packages are very similar between all of them, but it really gets down to the nitty-gritty of what particular channels you may be looking for.
Right. Yeah, we need to talk about that. I need that personally. I'm still using one of the satellite companies, and I've pared it down to next to nothing. But I still figured out we watch TV so seldom, and it's usually the same couple of channels.
Right.
So, yeah. Right now it's cheap enough that it's not a big deal, but...
Yeah, if you can even save an extra $5 a month.
Oh, yeah, $5 a month.
That's even better.
Soccer fee, man.
There you go.
Which, you're not 2 yet, but one of these days.
Well, we've had that discussion.
You're getting close.
Yeah, we're heavy in that discussion at our house about Sadie and soccer. So.
Well, I just mean sports in general, or
yeah.
whatever, dance class, you name it. Whatever, that $5 becomes very important. That's a pair of shoes or cleats or shin guards or whatever the case may. It might be a baton. I don't know, but yeah, you'll get there soon, and that $5 becomes very valuable.
Right, absolutely. And you have 3, so that's even.
Oh yeah,
that's
I know.
Even, so
I need to
3.
cancel 3 different things here to sort it out. All right. Topic number 3 for the day.
Ring Video Doorbells actually turns on mandatory 2-factor authentication on its video doorbells and security cameras.
Again, above my head, but I'm sure you'll explain it to me. So I'm familiar with the Ring doorbell.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of, like, lately I've noticed a lot of funny videos coming from the Ring doorbells.
Right.
Like people falling on steps or nice things. I've seen a lot of good things of somebody, a package was left out on the stairs and somebody picks it up and returns it.
Right.
I saw one of the Thai food kids showed me a young man had found a wallet and came up and saw the Ring doorbell and held it up in front of the camera and then stuck it under their doormat.
Right.
So good stuff, and then you see, of course, people stealing packages.
Right. Yeah,
So
you
also
get both
bad
ends of the
stuff.
spectrum.
Yeah, but pretty neat concept. Tell me about it.
Okay,
I'm curious.
So this all comes out as a result of Ring's security on their video cameras and video doorbells being compromised a while back.
Ooh,
Did you
okay.
know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, recently there was a big uproar, and it was actually funny. I was sitting at home at night, and I was going through Twitter, and all of a sudden Twitter was blowing up with people going to Ring, notifying Ring on Twitter saying, hey, my cameras have gotten hacked. You know, people from other countries are hacking my cameras and talking to my kids.
Really?
Yeah, it was, I mean, it
That's
blew up.
scary.
Yeah, and immediately Ring first came out and said, oh, no, it can't be us. There's something on your network or something else on your network that's gotten compromised, and they're using that, you know, once they're in,
Right.
they're using your Ring doorbell. And then actually when they started digging deeper, they realized, like, oh, no, it's actually our stuff.
It is Ring.
Yeah, and there was a video that was circulating around on the news that these parents had one in their daughter's bedroom, and these hackers got on there and was telling the kids, hey, tear up your toys, it's fine. You know, something like that.
Well, hold on, back up.
Okay.
Why would you put one in your kid's bedroom?
Well, that was my thought. The first thing I thought was, well, why would you want that in your kid's bedroom? That's just...
I mean, get a baby monitor.
Yeah, that doesn't connect to Wi-Fi.
Yeah. I mean, we had that back when my kids were little.
Yeah.
My goodness, it's the easiest thing in the world, and it has no Wi-Fi connection. It's totally secure.
Right. Yeah, from my
What in the world is someone thinking there?
Yeah,
anyway, different topic. But
Well, yeah. Well, I'm agreeing with you on that because my
Wow.
first standpoint, I immediately just freaked out. I was like, why would you put that in your kid's bedroom? No, it connects to the internet. I mean, that's just a whole mess that I don't want to get into.
Yeah.
So, and it shows the girls, freaking out and running out getting their parents. From my standpoint, if I had that in my home and that was going on, the easiest thing to do is unplug it.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Just unplug it and then...
We'll put it back on your door facing the street where it's supposed to be going.
Yeah, well, I would just unplug it until find out Ring comes back and responds, says, okay, do this, update it, and you'll be good to go.
Right.
So, as a result, Ring is now, which is actually owned by Amazon now. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
I did not either, but Amazon actually bought out Ring it's been a while.
Wow.
So they're actually an Amazon company now.
That's a whole business all in itself. Come up with a good product, market it really well, and then sell it to somebody big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you make your money and no headaches that way.
There you go. You don't have to you don't have to deal with that kind of issue. So I assume you're talking about because they got it fixed.
Yeah, they actually implemented what they call 2-factor authentication.
Okay.
And the way that works is we'll go ahead and finish this up, and then I'll explain 2-factor authentication because it gets a little lengthy.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the update, it requires 2-factor authentication, and when you log in, it'll actually walk you through that process. And then once you do that, every time you log in from here on out, it'll require the 2-factor authentication.
Okay. How often does it log in and out? I mean, is that something you do? Because I just kind of, in my head, it was something you left on your front door, and it's on all the time.
Well, the app to log in.
Okay, that you log into
Right.
to see.
To
I
see
gotcha. Okay,
Right.
that makes more sense.
Right.
So the one on your door stays connected all the time and just runs.
Right.
And then you connect to it to see. Okay, I
Right.
gotcha. I understand.
Right.
I'm a little slow sometimes, Joe, but you talk me through it really well.
I got you taken care of.
Kudos to you, buddy. You got a big job in front of you. All right, so fixed and good then.
Yes.
For now.
For now.
All right. And I know we talked last week some about hacking with some of the Apple stuff and so forth. Is that something? Do you see them as a target still? I mean, is there? I don't know. In my head, if it's pointed out at your street, I mean, somebody could hack in and see you coming and going, but I mean, you wouldn't know for the duration or anything necessarily. I don't know. I'm sure somebody could figure out a way to use that to their advantage, but.
Well, the thing of it is, it's not so much just the doorbell itself, but it's the people that had the cameras inside their house, and
that's still. If you bring that in your house, you're asking for it,
right? Or at least put it in an area that if somebody looks at it, they're not going to be impressed. It's not going to be anything of worth any real value.
I mean, I could see if you put it in your living room so you can keep an eye on your dog or something.
Right.
Maybe talk to your dog, and I know they got something like that, but
right.
I mean, not your kid's bedroom. Come on, people.
No. I mean, there's.
We need to do a show on common sense.
That'd be a multi.
All day, all evening.
Yeah.
Late into the night.
That would be several episodes.
And I have a feeling if you had to talk about that, you probably wouldn't make any headway with people anyway that need it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There'd be two types of people. People that goes, "Why are you doing this? I know this," and then people go, "Oh, this doesn't make any sense."
Are you kidding me? I got to have it in my kid's bedroom.
Yeah.
Of course, I need a camera in there for this. All right. Anyway, whole different topic, but all right. So, scary stuff.
Absolutely.
Sounds like they got it fixed though. So you went through a lot of stuff that there were issues with, but they got fixed and are going to help us in the future.
Right.
I'm most interested in the election one because that's such a big deal every 2 years.
Oh, absolutely.
And that affects everybody.
Well, and nowadays there's such a big hype on, well, my vote, doesn't really count because it could be hacked so easily and this, that, and the other. So if with something like that could actually possibly boost voter confidence, which in turn could improve, voter turnout.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. And then just confidence in general and how things run in the government would be a bonus.
Right.
So always nice. Okay. All right. Anything else for today?
Okay. So if you're ready, we'll go ahead and get into the topic of two-factor authentication, what it is and what it does, and all of that.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Still above my head, but I'm ready.
It's very easy to understand once you get into it. So two-factor authentication, what that is, excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead. So I know the average person, I imagine, struggles like myself with passwords. It took you a little while to convince me I need to write these things down, and the easiest thing I can do is put them in my phone.
Right.
Which I've started doing, which is super handy because, if anybody knows, you go to the cell phone store to upgrade or anything like that, the first thing you got to know is how to log into your account, which
right.
I've never known over however many years I've had a cell phone now. And it's always a struggle as I sit there and the guy's looking at me like, come on, man. Surely you can remember your password. And I try like 16 different ones until I finally get it right.
Right, and it's always that one that you used 10 years ago that you never use anymore.
Yeah, well, in my case, it's usually they won't let me use the same one over, so I got to change it.
Right.
I'm like, well, this is what it was. What would I possibly change it to? And anyway, so a whole fiasco on my end. But now I've started listening to your advice. I put them in an app on my phone, and then you've talked about apps that you've used and so forth. But anyway, so two-factor authentication. Hit me with it.
Okay, so what two-factor authentication is, it is something which is your password, or something you should know, which is your password.
Yeah, the average person probably does.
And something you have or are, your fingerprint, your phone, something like that.
Gotcha. Ooh, okay. So yeah, I've seen this. When I log into my Google account on a different computer,
yes,
it sends me a message to my phone saying yes or no.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That is part of two-factor authentication.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the way two-factor authentication works, most of the time the way it works is you could log into a website, you type in the password, and you can either set it up with an authenticator program like Google Authenticator, or there's several different authenticator programs, or you can use the less secure, but it's still much more secure than not having it at all, which is send it to you via text message.
Gotcha.
And the reason I say it's less secure is it's a whole fiasco to get it, but it can be hacked, but it had to be someone actually had to target Dave. It's not a widespread blanket hack.
Right.
If I was trying to get into your accounts, I'd have to actually get your phone number and transfer your phone number to my phone, which is possible. It has happened, but it's not an easy, 10-second boom, I have your phone number kind of deal.
And we've actually done that before, sitting at AT&T or somewhere. They've texted me.
Right.
And said, all right, you should get the text. You have the code. Give us the code, and then we'll go from there.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, neat stuff. Good to know that they're looking out for our interests.
Right. And the reason that's important is just for an extra layer of security. I have a friend who lives in Florida. He has an Amazon account, and a while back his Amazon account got hacked.
Ooh.
And when it got hacked, they started buying, ebooks and Kindles and gift cards, and I mean, just went nuts with it.
Wow.
So he called me all in a panic. What do I do? What do I do? I said, first things first, turn on two-factor authentication. I said, that'll at least kill it for now until you deal with Amazon. So he was fighting with Amazon, and that was a whole other mess, which I won't get into details. But whoever he was talking to at Amazon at the time turned the authentication back off.
Oh.
Yeah. So as soon as it turned back off, the charges started again. I said, turn that back on, leave it on, tell whoever lunatic is that turned it off to leave it alone.
Oh, my goodness. How did it work out?
Well, I haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks. So I don't know.
So the charges could be really bad,
yeah.
or maybe he's getting some resolve happening.
Yeah, and at the time, Amazon was coming back with, well, those are ebooks, and it's looking like that you bought them, so tough luck.
Yeah. Oh, that's rough. I assume they can't track those because once they go on like your Kindle or whatever, they're gone.
Yeah, right. It's part of your account.
Huh.
So,
scary stuff.
Right. So with the two-factor authentication, if I get your password to whatever it is, if once I hit the put in the password and it pops up and goes type in your authentication code, well, if I don't have whatever authentication system that you have in place, it's useless.
Wow. What all applications does this take place on? Like obviously Amazon,
right?
And I know it's done it with my Google account.
Banking websites, Facebook. It's pretty much starting to become an industry standard. Okay. PayPal. What I always recommend my customers to do is go on any websites, whether it's definitely financial.
Yeah.
Your banks, whatever.
Credit cards and so forth.
Yeah, your IRAs, whatever you have, and check them out check under the security settings under your account and preferences and all that. And if they have two-factor authentication, definitely set that up. If they actually have the ability to set it up with like a Google Authenticator, always go that route. But if the only thing they offer is text messaging, that's better than nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do something.
Right.
I gotcha. If
just don't stick your head in the sand.
If anybody has any questions, what type of questions would you think they would ask? Like, how do I get it, I assume?
Yeah, how do I set up two-factor authentication, and how much does it cost? It's always, from everything I've seen, two-factor authentication is always free with all your accounts.
For everything across the board. So they just got to go find it.
Right, you just have to set it up, and once you set it up, it's not too bad. It's a minor inconvenience because once you type in that password, and then you have to wait for that authentication to go through it, you're talking maybe a 10-second, 20-second inconvenience, but just knowing the security on the back end of it is
if it's your bank account, I'll take an hour. Give
right.
me an hour if you're going to protect my money.
Right.
So yeah, and that's the same thing with Amazon or whatever. That's protecting your money. So yeah, take the time. Okay. Sounds great. Now really, I asked the wrong question there. I should have asked the question of what all should you go get two variables of authentication for specifically. You mentioned bank, Amazon, obviously. Anything else that we didn't talk about?
Basically, almost anything online.
Everything and anything.
Yeah.
Go find it.
Yeah, even down to social media. I know from mine and your standpoint, social media doesn't really rank high on the list. But,
right.
If someone hacks your account and starts posting stuff as you and in a position you're in, you don't need any negative response.
Right, yeah.
Or just something simple as they hack your account and start spreading viruses around as your account's, posing as you, sending it to friends and family, hey, click this link or whatever, something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, that could be very important. Okay, so life lesson for the day, or I'd say Joe's advice for the day, go take care of your two-factor authentication.
Absolutely.
Across the board.
Absolutely.
So if someone had any questions, how do they get a hold of you?
You give us a call at our office at 304-927-3588. Check out our website at amdigitaltechnologies.com or hit us up on social media at amdigitaltech.
And as always, Help Desk with Joe, helping the average person. And I know you do commercial work and personal work. You're located here, one of our businesses in Spencer, West Virginia. You power all our shows and take care of all our stuff, from our podcast to our broadcast to our YouTube videos to our youth basketball games. That all falls under A&M. And as always, I got to give a quick shout out to Cena, who's doing all the hard work behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, keep Joe in the good graces. He wants dinner this evening.
Exactly.
So we really appreciate all you do, Joe, and of course Cena as well. So A&M Digital Technologies, make sure you get a hold of them for anything you might need.
One other thing, did you get the text message I sent you yesterday?
I don't know.
The Patch Turned Up podcast is official.
Yeah, I didn't understand that though.
Yeah, well, that was just a little teaser to say, hey, the Patch Turned Up podcast is available now, so check out Apple, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere else where you get your podcast. Look up Patch Turned Up Podcast.
Nice. Yeah, I got that text, and again, as usual, it was above my head. I was like, all right, Patch Podcast, I got you. I didn't know where to go, though, so that makes sense. I'm not a big podcast guy, which is ironic because we're doing podcasts.
Right.
But I don't listen to a lot of them, but I'm going to start, I guess. So great. We're out there floating out in the podcast world. We're out on the line.
Absolutely. And the first 3 episodes of Sierra's podcast is live, so
Okay.
So there is content out there available.
Nice. And I know you'd mentioned the Help Desk with Joe's are out there as well.
Yeah, check us out we are on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere you can pick up your favorite podcast. Just check out Help Desk with Joe and Dave, and be sure to leave us a 5-star review, as well as the Patch Turned Up podcast. Be sure to leave a 5-star review.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Well, that'll conclude our show for today. So this is show number 4, Help Desk with Joe, and I'll let Caitlin do the outro, and we're good to go.
This is Caitlin Clarkson, and you've been listening to Help Desk with Joe with Patch Turned Up. Stay tuned in for more podcast news updates from Patch students. Patch, community, and children first.